this is Becca from Becca's Music Room. I'm a music teacher who talks about teacher tips, teacher life, teacherpreneurs, and all things that might hopefully make your life just a little bit easier. Today's video kind of falls under all of those categories because I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I have been reading since school started, which is the last time I made one of these videos. The reason it's been so long is because I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do these anymore. Not many people watch them, but I love them. I love talking about books. And also, I asked on my Instagram if people wanted book recommendations, and the overwhelming answer was yes. So I was like, okay, I'll make another video. I'm going to fly through all of these books, tell you what I thought about them, what I was reading, and all those kind of things. So we're gonna go really quickly because I actually have to leave really soon for a Super Bowl party. So let's get right on in. All right, so the first book that I read after school started was a Hemingway that I actually don't have in front of me. I think it might be upstairs. I was not gonna go upstairs and find it. So it's called To Have and Have Not. I did enjoy this book. I read a lot of Hemingway books. I have a slight Hemingway obsession ever since I went to Key West and went to his house and just kind of fell in love with him. This one was fun. It was like partially in Key West and partially in Cuba, and it was talking about drug runners, and it was like really intense with shootings and craziness and very interesting. So I did like this one. It wasn't my favorite Hemingway, which I think my favorite would be, I'm looking at them. Maybe The Green Hills of Africa, I'm not sure. But really pretty good, really intense, lots of stuff going on. I actually did really enjoy it. Obviously not the most appropriate book ever, but it was fun. So I would recommend that one. Book number 2 that I read, this is a teaching book also. I'm not going by categories, I'm just going chronologically. So next book I read was called For White Folk Who Teach in the Hood, and the rest of y'all too. So this book is by Christopher Emdin, I think that's right. And I definitely enjoyed it. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it, but I have been, researching a lot into urban education. I teach in a school where this is very, very relevant, so I definitely thought it was a good one to read, and I really enjoyed it. I will say that I love how he gives a lot of specific strategies for things that you can do to really help reach your students even better. But I will give the caveat that a lot of the stuff that he suggested would definitely work a lot better with older students. Because I teach elementary music, I only see my kids for a really small amount of time, and I see a lot of kids and they're young. So not every single thing is gonna work really well for my particular classroom, but overall I did find it helpful. I love how there were specific strategies. Definitely highly recommend, no matter where you teach, but especially if you teach in the hood. All right, so definitely pick that one up. The next one I read was a business book. So I said it would go for teacher tips, teacher life, and teacherpreneurs. So The 10X Rule is a book by Grant Cardone. He is a really, really, really famous, I don't even know what you call him. I don't know. He's in real estate, and he has like a YouTube channel, and he's written some books. So I picked this one up. Actually, my husband had it, and so I decided to read it. And basically, the whole premise is that the difference between success and failure is how big you dream and how hard you work. So his suggestion is that you should always 10x, like 10 times what you think you can do, and then you should work 10 times as hard to make it happen. So I definitely thought this was a good book to read, and it was just one of those things where I feel like it could have been explained in like an email, but it was a whole book. Also, I don't feel like he actually explained the principle very well. So there's that. So not my favorite book. I will say I did get some stuff out of it, and because of this I have been able to dream a lot bigger and stuff like that. But I'm like, not everyone needs to 10x their business and work 10 times as hard. So I would say don't bother reading that one. do dream big, don't bother reading. The next one I liked a lot better. So this one is The End of Molasses Classes by Ron Clark. So this book is amazing because it is all 101 extraordinary solutions for parents and teachers. So it's like really, really specific, like here's something you can do, here's something you can do, here's something you can do, by the guy who created the Ron Clark Academy, which is like this really innovative school. It's like super, super cool, and I totally want to go there. So love this book because it is really specific, things that will work with almost any age group, not everything can, and really inspiring. Like the way he writes and things he talks about, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But it's so awesome. So highly recommend, no matter what you teach, you pick this one up. It was a really good read, and it was interesting to read. I wasn't like bored the whole time, so good one to read. The next one I picked up, I'm not sure if this is right. Oh well. The next one I have is Little Women. I have read this book many, many, many times because it's one of my favorites. I read it like when I was a kid with my mom, and I've read it all sorts of other ways. And because they had a movie coming out, I was like, I should probably read it again. And I have to say, I loved it even more than I remembered. So go pick that one up because it's amazing, amazing. The movie is really true to it, but the movie just can't quite cover everything because it's kind of big, but very interesting. The next one is another business book, and that is Sell It Like Sirhan. This is my husband's favorite book by my husband's favorite person, in case you were curious. And so this book is all about different strategies for selling more, earning more, and just really working smart and getting a lot done. And I highly recommend. There's a lot of things in here that really helped me, like following up and following through with customers, and just lots of different things and secrets and things that he talks about that are really good for people like me who don't like selling things but who sell things. Y'all, I hate being like, come buy my stuff, but like you have to, because otherwise people don't know you're there and they don't know to come buy your stuff. So if you have a TPT shop or an Etsy shop or anything, definitely recommend that one. Next up, Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. So I read Girl Stop Apologizing last year, and then I read this actually also last year, but later on, and I loved them both. So Girl Wash Your Face is talking about really specific lies that women in general tend to believe about life and the reality, and it's very motivational, really specific about like, here is something that she used to believe that a lot of us tend to believe that we need to not believe. I will say I definitely liked Girl Stop Apologizing better than Girl Wash Your Face because I think that one just had more messages that I needed to hear, but they are both really good. Highly recommend both of them. The next book was purely for fun, and that is called Ophelia. This is by Lisa Klein, and it is wonderful. So Ophelia is a character in Shakespeare's Hamlet, and in this book, she kind of takes Ophelia and gives her much more of a personality and backstory and all of that kind of stuff. I love historical fiction, so I just ate it up. I've actually read it before and loved it 50,000 times more this time than I did last time. Definitely recommend. The next one up is called Round the Moon, and it is by Jules Verne. I love Jules Verne. He wrote things like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Around the World in 80 Days, and just a lot of really good adventure-y books. So this one that I read was called Round the Moon. It was a story of 3 astronauts. It was like the 1800s, so you know, astronauts, who went up in a spaceship and went around the moon and came back to Earth. I have to say, it was entertaining as far as science fiction goes, but it was definitely not my favorite one of his books. I think part of it is that because it was so far before we knew anything about space, a lot of it I was just kind of like, yeah, that's not right, because they didn't know things that we know now. So if you can put that away and, you know, like stick it in the back of your mind and not let it bother you, then it's good. It is a really interesting book. It's very adventure-y again, but not my favorite of his. So kind of on the fence about whether I'd recommend that one or not. Whew, 2 more, and I've only been talking for 10 minutes. Are you proud of me? I'm proud of me. All right, these last 2 I just finished like literally this week, like the very end of January. So the next one is The Hobbit. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about The Hobbit. I have watched the Hobbit movies. I have not watched the Lord of the Rings movies. I was really young when they came out. Actually, I remember because my dad used to take my brother to like the midnight showings of them and then let him skip part of school the next day. But I never did it because I was really little. And I remember trying to watch them with my dad and my brother, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. But I loved this book. I really loved this book. I wasn't sure I was going to, didn't think I would, but oh my goodness, I love it. It was so good. So much of the story is like super in depth, and there's just all these different characters and different things that happen, and I love how they have some added, like, I mean, it's made up because it's not real, but like historical things in there, and just all of these really interesting things that are just, oh, ooh, love. And all the things that Bilbo does in order to help the dwarves get to the mountain, and just all, ooh, love it. Highly recommend, even if you don't think that you're going to like it. I am really excited now to read the Lord of the Rings series, which I have not read either. I was told to start with The Hobbit and see if I liked that one or not, and then move on to those. So highly recommend. We'll definitely be picking up the Lord of the Rings. The next and last book was also a surprise. I was kind of on the fence. I didn't know if I wanted to buy this book or get it or what I was going to think about it, but it was so good. One of the best teaching books I have ever read. So this is called The Happy Teacher Habits, and it's the 11 Habits of the Happiest, Most Effective Teachers on Earth by Michael Linson. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was gonna be stupid, but it was really good. I thought it was gonna be like, drink some water. And I was like, okay, but it wasn't. It was very specific things that you can do in order to be a better teacher, to be more efficient in your planning, to build better relationships with your students, to just inspire them more, and to work a lot less outside of work and be less overwhelmed. So there's 11 different things. They're very specific, like narrow, tidy, decline, and like words that by themselves don't mean much, but when you read them, they're really good. It's also very well researched, and he notes a lot of other books that are really helpful that I have added a lot to my to be read list, so that I can pick them up. And oh my gosh, like I just can't recommend it enough. It's like 120 pages and like 10 or 15 bucks on Amazon. So definitely go pick this up. If you teach anything, go pick it up. It is really, really good. And out of the 11 habits, I am definitely working on 2 of them really hard right now. I don't want to work on all of them at the same time, but I've got like 2, which are, number 1 is tidy, keeping your room super, super clean and free of clutter so that the students are not overwhelmed and you're not overwhelmed, and just to kind of show the students that you have high expectations. So that's number 1. And then the other one I'm working on is, I don't remember which one it was under, but it was talking about being very consistently pleasant in all your interactions with students. I think I'm like usually pretty pleasant, but I'm trying to get to that consistently pleasant. So those are the ones I am currently working on. That was a lot of books, and yeah, most of them I would recommend, not quite all of them. I will link everything down below, so if you're interested in them, make sure you check those out. Also, please hit that like, subscribe, and share button, because I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not I should be doing these videos. And so if you like them, you need to let me know by liking and subscribing and sharing and letting me know in the comments that you like these books. Also, let me know in the comments what you are currently reading, if you have read any of these books, and if you found them helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.